Now, you touched on it a little bit. Also in '97, the Tracey Lee and Notorious B.I.G. "Keep Your Hands High" record.
Right.
I know that record was big. Well, over here, if not I don't know what it did on the charts, but I know on the streets, it was crazy.
Right. It was an underground cult hit. Yeah, man, I know that. The unfortunate situation in that is that, you know, by the untimely death of, you know, a person that I was beginning to really get to know well, you know, by the untimely death of Notorious B.I.G, you know, the project never got to take, you know, it never got to get to where it was supposed to get to. I thought that the song had the possibilities and the chance to be big, but, you know, with the untimely death, you know, things got strewn about where it just didn't get the amount of light that it should have got. But the underground supported it, knew what it was, loved it, respected it. I know it's an underground cult classic.
It really is.
That in itself is a beautiful experience, and actually having the experience to work with Notorious B.I.G. before he passed, you know, was another experience, because he, just like I said about Kenny Green earlier, another stellar artist, you know, top of the level, gives you 100% performance all the time, unlike any other.
Cool. Rest in peace to Big. I know it was it had to be a cool experience working with him. And,
yeah, it was crazy. It was kind of like, just to speak about the story, I don't want to ramble on, but just to speak about the story, you know, we had already solicited the song for the Tracey project. His A&R, which was also Big's manager, Mark Pitts, had informed us that we were definitely going to have B.I.G. on the record. And what had happened was, when he came in the studio, you know, he was big, charismatic, funny, you know, cool, laid back. Everybody was in there kicking it, you know, drinking their Henny, smoking their blunt, whatever it was. But, you know, he just told me, look, this is how I want to do it. This is the format I want to do it in. Just keep the beat playing. And he let me know the format that he wanted the record to go in, and I set it up in the program and everything. Just kept the beat playing. It's like 3-4 hours later, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I ain't seen him pick up a pen, no paper, no nothing. I'm like, okay, is this going to happen? And you know what I'm saying? And all the while, he's sitting there, and he's talking to everybody and everything. So I'm like, okay, is he going to sit down and focus and get the song written or whatever? And then out of nowhere, he's just like, I went to him at one time, and I was like, yo, you need paper, pen, anything? He's like, nah, I'm good. Don't worry about it. Just keep the beat playing. And he's hollering at his man, like, yo, give me some more Henny. You know what I mean? And next thing I know, he's just like, all right, I'm ready. Goes in the booth and spits straight fire for about 3 to 5 minutes. It was like, all right, I'm done. He didn't need to do any more. Everything you hear on that record is a straight, one-time, one-shot first performance.
And like I told you before, man, I think that album, that record, is some of his best verses, man.
Thank you. Well, you know, I definitely know he's put some timeless lines in there. You know, as you know, Jay-Z, another consummate performer, has gone on to quote some of those lines.
Yeah.
Future records. So,
right.
You know, it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'm glad to be a part of that piece of hip hop and know that, okay, even if it didn't receive its popularity accolades, it meant something to the artists, to the real hip hop fans, that they remember that record, that they remember what he quoted and what he said, and that it put its staple and its stamp in hip hop and its time period. So, you know, I'm glad to be a part of that and have a piece of that history in there.
Cool. So in 90 or 97, around that time, you got to work with two rap legends.
Right.
Rakim and Biggie.
And right, exactly. And that was another cool experience too, because Rakim, another consummate performer, and you know, he was really cool during the recording and during the video shoot and everything. You know what I mean? It's just like, let me know. You know, I've been blessed in that sense that I've been able to work with, on average, you know, artists that are willing to give 150% to the project, whatever it is that needs to be done. They're like, look, just tell me what you need me to do. If it's not good enough, it's no problem. We'll go. And, usually you don't have to say that it's not good enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's just good to be a part of that.
Cool. Tell us about the Big Bub project around that time on Kadar. I know in the forum you stated that was around the time that you were, I believe you were leaving Kadar, or about to leave Kadar. How did that Big Bub project go down?
Well, I mean, in that project, we were on the road with Erykah. Erykah had just started to, catch the explosion of what was to be the Baduism project when it first got released in the January period of 97, and we were starting to open up for her out on the road as a promo tour. And in the process, I had given Kedar some tracks before I left, and Kedar had let Bub hear it because he was, at the time, I think he had either signed Bub or was in strong talks with signing Bub for the Timeless album, and Bub had heard the track that became Need Your Love and wanted to use it. So they went in the studio, and we went into the studio, printed it down, and they had started to do some rough work to it. And then I was still out on the road, and they went in and further developed it at the time and became what you heard on the radio.
Oh, okay. Cool. Around that time that you're leaving Kadar, it's around 98. We're going into a new millennium. Music has once again changed.
Changing.
We have I want to say the DMX, Jay-Z, that whole era, Rough Riders, that type deal, and rap is starting to really, really explode commercially.
Right.
Can you tell us about that time and as a producer, how you looked upon that time and what you were working on?
Well, I mean, it was a cool time because, to me, there was still good music being developed and created. And, you had these new artists who were coming into the fold and taking replacement of where Big had left it, due to his death, and carrying the torch. So it was a cool time for me as a producer. It just meant applying myself in different avenues and ways, because also around that time, neo soul was starting to phase itself out, and other forms and styles were starting to come in. So as a producer, to me, in order to be well-rounded, you have to be a chameleon. If you want to stay in the business, you have to stay relevant to the times, but yet keep your own identity. You can't sit there and do New Jack Swing if New Jack Swing is 5 years old. You can't sit there and do Neo Soul if Neo Soul is now phasing out. You have to find a way to keep your sensibilities in place, but yet market the music that is catching the attention and staying current with the times and the movement of where the audience is listening and carrying themselves toward, what they like or what they prefer at the time.
Right.